he gonna get caught. He'll pop out on you. He get there too quick.
That is, if I'm not mistaken, a 92-pound weight difference. Almost a 100-pound weight difference. It's insane. Let's say he comes in at 200 pounds. It's still a 65-pound weight advantage, which is absolutely ridiculous. How can you be out there claiming to want to fight the best people on the planet?
Several respected boxing analysts have issued warnings to Jake Paul about stepping into the ring with Gervonta "Tank" Davis. Recent training camp footage of Davis has circulated, showcasing his trademark speed and devastating power, leaving many experts concerned. They caution that this matchup, given the stark size difference, poses not only physical risks but could also damage the sport's credibility if mishandled. Analysts stress that Paul cannot afford to view Davis as merely a YouTuber's opponent. Tank is an elite, explosive fighter with proven knockout ability. The footage highlights more than just quickness and agility. Davis's sharp technique and ability to cut off the ring creates serious problems for anyone who underestimates him. For Paul, overlooking these factors could be a costly mistake.
Quite surprised because it sounded like Jake Paul and Joshua was getting closer and closer for January. However, there have been rumours of Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul in the past. I think with Gervonta Davis, there's kind of legal problems in the last month or so and rumours about his retirement. I don't think it's a massive shock that he is taking this Jake Paul fight if it is going to go ahead, purely for the reason that it's a lot of money for maybe not the most difficult job that he's going to have in his career. So it's a strange one, but yeah, it's just another kind of day in the sport, really, isn't it?
Promoter Eddie Hearn didn't hold back when asked about Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis. He cautioned Paul that chasing this fight could come with brutal consequences, warning, "Be careful what you wish for." Hearn views the matchup as dangerously uneven, stressing that while the spectacle may draw huge commercial attention, the reality inside the ring is far riskier. He admitted the fight might appear 50-50 on paper, but his underlying point was clear. Paul isn't just gambling with his record, he's gambling with his health. For Hearn, this isn't simply a mismatch in skill, it's a fight where the stakes extend far beyond boxing.
I think it's extremely dangerous for Jake Paul. You know, I've got the general feedback is the boxing world saying, please AJ, go in and evaporate this young man from the boxing world so we can all get on as normal. You've got Jake Paul fans thinking bizarrely they can beat Anthony Joshua. And the most bizarre thing out of everything is that Jake Paul genuinely believes he will beat Anthony Joshua. I think that's the only reason we're going to see this fight, but I truly believe you're going to see it at the beginning of 2026.
Daniel Cormier offered a balanced but critical take on Jake Paul's decision to fight Gervonta Davis. On one hand, he credited Paul for his promotional genius and for building a brand strong enough to secure repeated Netflix deals, saying, "I respect Jake Paul today." But Cormier couldn't overlook the glaring size disparity. Davis, who last weighed in at roughly 134 pounds, is stepping up against Paul, who walks around close to 200 pounds. Cormier pointed out that while Davis is clearly the more skilled boxer, the weight gap makes the matchup risky on both sides. If Paul loses, it shatters his momentum. If Davis loses, the embarrassment of being outdone by a much larger novice could sting just as badly.
When a disruptor challenges a legend, guys, anything can happen. When a kid that was on YouTube and on Disney walked in there and said, "I'm going to be a professional boxer," Jake Paul needs to be commended for that. He had a vision, and he honestly executed that vision better than anyone ever could have expected. But sometimes you want something so badly that you don't recognize the dangers that come with wanting that thing and then getting that thing. Now Jake Paul has gotten himself to a point where he's fighting someone that could truly end his career. All right, Mike Tyson. We're talking about one of the scariest, most dangerous fighters to ever step foot in the squared circle. For me, it's pretty simple. Jake Paul, in the Mike Perry fight, he got a great appetizer for what he will get in the main event. A fighter that starts very fast, that throws things to take your head off, and you have to kind of match the intensity to ultimately get your shots off.
Jake Paul today announced that he has signed with the PFL.
The PFL. L.
A couple weeks ago, Jake Paul and I were messaging each other about an appearance on my show, DC and RC. Just kind of talking about his future. And honestly, Jake and I have had some run-ins. When I started talking to him and I'm messaging him, he's a kid that's very respectful. And we had respectful conversations. He has an idea what he wants to do. Now, these kids today are different, right? So he's very boisterous, he's very verbal, he speaks big. But will Jake Paul actually fight in the PFL? A lot of boxers say they're going to fight, but they never actually do. Here's the thing about Jake Paul, though. He's from Ohio. Ohio has some of the best high school wrestling. Jake Paul was a high school wrestler there. So was his brother, Logan. They weren't bad. I believe this one, he'll actually fight.
Former super middleweight champion Carl Froch has sounded the alarm over the safety risks surrounding the Paul vs. Davis exhibition. He stressed the staggering 65-pound weight difference, with Paul competing close to 200 pounds and Davis at 135. Froch acknowledged Davis's superior boxing skills but warned that Paul's sheer size and unorthodox power could create a dangerous scenario. He's not used to being hit like that, Froch cautioned. His comments echo a growing concern across the boxing community. This matchup isn't being viewed as a fair contest, but rather as a spectacle that raises serious questions about legitimacy and fighter safety.
My name was mentioned at his press conference and he shit himself, and the fight was just absolutely fucking diabolical. Again, I've said before, he's not a professional boxer, he never will be, and he proved time and time again that he's not a professional fighter. So, Jake Paul, go on, piss off.
I don't really take Jake Paul that serious. He can't really box. He can have a little fight, he can have a swing. He swings away, stands up straight, and he throws punches, but it's not professional boxing. Because when I watch him box, there's just so much wrong. It's just everything's wrong. It's so bad. He's got leaky defence. He telegraphs his punches. Like, you put him in with someone his own size, it was a professional, and it's a mismatch. And you'll see that if he ends up fighting somebody. Tommy Fury, bless him. He's a pro boxer, but he's inexperienced. He's got no amateur pedigree. He's a raw novice, or maybe just above the raw novice. I was saying earlier, where would I put him in terms of levels? He'd do well to win a British title. He's at that sort of level. And then from British title to world level, it's like different worlds. It's like totally different. It's like a different sport.
Just here at Los Naranjos in Viva, España, and I found out that Gervonta Davis is now fighting Jake Paul. So Jake Paul was supposed to be fighting AJ. Eddie Hearn announced 99% done, which we've just spoke about. What next for AJ? Potentially Jake Paul. But it now looks like that Jake Paul is fighting one of Anthony Joshua's legs. He's fighting Gervonta Davis, somebody who's a quarter of his size. I don't even know what's going on. Has Eddie Hearn been played? Let me know what you think. But the AJ fight with Jake Paul's finished. Gervonta Davis, fake Paul, November. I don't know what's going on in the world of boxing. This is an absolute joke. What next for AJ? We'll get into this, and there's so many questions I want to get into in the next episode, but hope you enjoyed this one. And yeah, just thought I'd give you a quick update because the news has just come in and I'm just trying to relax and play a bit of golf, and I can't. I've got to get it off my chest. I'm going to add it to this video. Hope you enjoy it. Don't forget, if you haven't already, hit like, share and subscribe to the best channel in the business, Froch on Fighting, and we'll see you very soon.
Ryan Garcia didn't hold back when addressing the Paul vs. Davis matchup, blasting it as completely insane. He argued that modern boxing is losing its credibility, comparing the sport to professional wrestling. In Garcia's view, spectacles like this make the sport look more like WWE than a legitimate competition. He warned that such events don't just entertain, they risk damaging boxing's integrity, leaving fans questioning whether the sport should still be taken seriously. Boxing is officially the WWE, Garcia declared.
Today we're going to talk about the boxing world and another fight that Jake Paul just booked for his joke of a career against a 65-plus smaller guy than him in Gervonta Davis. Jake Paul is a circus sideshow for low IQ incels. Nobody should be falling for this carny bullshit about him being a real fighter. Gervonta is a million times better than him, so he has to handicap Gervonta's skill by being a giant lab rat with a 65-plus weight advantage over him. This is a joke. This is a mockery to the sport of fighting. You know, the best are supposed to fight the best. Why is he fighting a guy that's, you know, in his last fight, Mike Tyson, who, you know, he's got a 40-year age gap between them? You know, why are you fighting a guy that should be in line for, you know, the early bird special, not fighting in a boxing ring, and Mike Tyson? Now you're fighting a guy who is, you know, tiny. He's a 130-pound fighter. You fight in the 210, 220 weight range. So, you know, this is another joke in Jake Paul's career. You know, he claims to want to be a real fighter, but you know, he's not taking the real steps to be real fighters and fighting, you know, top 10 guys and fighting the best guys in the world. You know, he fights, you know, these circus sideshows against guys that have no business being in there against him. So, you know, I guess this is the state of boxing. It's dead. UFC took over, and, you know, this is what you get now. You get this YouTuber who, you know, is on Lizzie McGuire, and he wants to claim to be a real fighter, but he doesn't want to fight real fighters. So, you know, I think it's ironic, though. Why would he hire a lawyer to sue people that say that his fights are fixed if they weren't, allegedly? So I don't know. It's kind of weird. You guys do the math. Let me know what you think in the comments below.
Amir Khan has blasted the upcoming Paul vs. Davis exhibition, calling it disgusting and a reckless mismatch. He highlighted the severe size gap, Paul weighing close to 200 pounds with an 8-inch height advantage over the 135 pounds Davis, and argued that no professional commission should ever sanction such a bout. Khan warned that these kinds of spectacles risk causing serious injury while further eroding boxing's credibility. He praised promoter Turki Alalshik for refusing to indulge in what he sees as YouTube-style circus fights that do nothing for the sport's integrity.
Guy who's obviously a lot heavier than him, but, you know, in an exhibition fight. What are your thoughts on this fight?
A really bad mismatch, and you know what? Whoever the promoter is and that's agreed Gervonta to fight, and whoever the promoter is to fight for Jake Paul to say fight this little man. I mean, that's wrong, man. I mean, that's just like torturing someone. I mean, going in there and hurting someone is just not fair on Davis. But like, say you don't know what position Davis is in. I heard that he's been having a lot of legal problems and been arrested a couple of times for a couple of felonies and stuff I've seen with his ex-wife and stuff. So you know what? You know what's going through his head. Maybe he just wants to cash up and walk away from the sport. And maybe this is a great opportunity for him where he's seen this fight come up and he's like, fuck it, I'll take it. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think they're making boxing a joke, really. Yeah. One day someone's going to end up getting hurt so badly, then it's going to definitely destroy the sport.
Michael Bisping ripped into Jake Paul, branding him a bully for chasing massive size mismatches. Pointing out Paul's 60-pound and 7-inch advantage over fighters like Canelo Alvarez, Bisping accused him of deliberately targeting smaller, less dangerous opponents to pad his record. He called the approach an embarrassment to boxing and dismissed Paul's self-promotion as a legitimate fighter. In Bisping's eyes, Paul isn't proving skill. He's hiding behind spectacle and bully boy tactics.
How can you be out there claiming to want to fight the best people on the planet and then going out there and taking on a guy that is maybe 92 pounds heavier, that is at least 65 pounds heavier than you? That is called one thing. That's called being a bully. It's like, dude, what are you doing? If you want respect from your peers, if you want everyone on the planet to look at you and take you seriously and give you credit as a boxer, you have to go up against someone that keeps you up at night, against someone that gets you out of bed in the morning to go for a run because the fear of them beating you down is real.
Michael Bisping has repeatedly blasted Jake Paul for stacking the deck in his favor, accusing him of cherry-picking opponents who are either undersized, inexperienced, or long past their prime. To Bisping, Paul's matchups are more business ventures than true competition, crafted to protect his brand rather than prove himself as a legitimate boxer. He argues that Paul thrives on spectacle but avoids the kind of fair, dangerous fights that would truly test his skills. Echoing that frustration, KSI slammed Paul's scheduled bout with Gervonta Davis, calling it a disgrace to boxing. He suggested Paul is deliberately sidestepping him in favor of easier targets, claiming the fight highlights Paul's unwillingness to face real, evenly matched opposition. KSI's criticism adds to the growing chorus of voices questioning whether Paul wants to be a serious boxer, or just a showman hiding behind carefully managed matchups.
Gervonta not filling the rematch clause and just fighting Jake Paul and that whole situation and reaction of the fight itself.
I feel people people got issues because it's 200 million mandatory or either go fight for 5 million. It's a no-brainer. Like, what's wrong? What's a no-brainer?
A hard fight.
And we prize fighters. They prize fighters.
That's right.
The prize is big, and he's gonna retire soon. So you got 200 million right here, and you're about to retire soon, or either a $5 million.
Wait a minute. Kid said he disagreed. Why did he disagree? I think it's just from a fighter standpoint. And on top of that, he got to draw. It's not like you won. Like you won and you gonna go fight Jake Paul. You got to draw, man. You got to go get that back.
Why? It was a cherry pick.
I mean, yeah, it was a cherry pick, and you looked, and you didn't
So
look
hold
good.
on.
So you got to.
I mean, look, with Jake, the guy's been ducking me or running away from me for so long, man. Like, he's just making excuse after excuse, and now he wants to fight Tank. I mean, it just says the type of guy Jake Paul is. He only fights someone if he has a major advantage. Anything that's close, or anything that could actually be a decent fight, he runs away from it. So,
Dave Allen, the British heavyweight famously nicknamed the White Rhino, didn't hold back in his criticism of the proposed Paul versus Davis exhibition. He branded the matchup a farce and a complete waste of Davis's prime years, arguing that exhibition fights should be reserved for retired names, not active, pound-for-pound elite lightweights like Davis. Allen suggested that Davis should be chasing meaningful fights, such as a rematch with Lamont Roach, while Paul should step up against a legitimate cruiserweight if he truly wants respect in the sport. Instead, Allen accused both fighters of prioritizing money over merit, dismissing the spectacle as nothing more than a cash grab. He ended his remarks bluntly, saying he wouldn't even bother tuning in for what he considers a circus act.
But he's never been punched by a rhinoceros, has he yet? So we'll have to see.
He's training this fight, but fighting against real bears. This is true. People are going, no chance, no chance. Do you reckon this guy, could he be the toughest of your opponents so far, do you reckon?
I don't think he's the best that I've faced. I've faced a few Olympic medalists, a few world title challengers, but I think he's probably the most dangerous. Maybe not the best boxer, he might not be the most technical, but he hits really hard, he's really big and strong, so yeah, I think it's the most dangerous task I've faced, but he may be not the best fighter I've been in with.
Whereabouts is the fight, Dave? Where are you fighting him?
He's still at Sheffield Arena,
right?
Headlining in Sheffield, which is like my local arena. So yeah, it's a big night for me.
He won his last fight, didn't you, Dave, against Ricardo Brown, and 20 wins, 19 KOs he's got. So like you says, he is dangerous. How's the training gone for you ahead of this fight?
Yeah, it's been good. It's put a bit of fear in me, to be honest. I have had a bit of genuine fear. I've been stopped, but I've never been on the canvas ever as a pro or amateur. So, and I'd like to keep it that way, really. Yeah. I'm not on anyone's highlight reel. You see highlight reels of all the fighters I face. I'm not on any of them, and I'd like to keep it that way. So yeah, training has gone up a notch. For the Fisher rematch, I did weigh a little bit heavy. So for this one, if I cut any corners, there's a good chance I'll get beat.
Some observers have gone as far as to label Gervonta Davis's decision to face a much larger high-profile influencer as a masterclass in evasion, even calling it the biggest duck in boxing history. Instead of settling unfinished business with a worthy peer, Davis chose the safer yet more profitable path, a spectacle bout. Critics argue this move looks less like a sporting challenge and more like a calculated retreat from real risk, done purely for exposure and a massive payday. In a sport where legacy is often valued above money, choosing glamour over genuine rivalries is seen as the ultimate dodge. With a glaring size mismatch and hype-driven promotion, the fight feels more like scripted entertainment than elite competition. For many, it cheapens boxing's credibility, reduces it to spectacle, and puts fighter safety at risk, all in the name of financial gain. To them, it's the clearest sign yet of how far the sport has drifted from its traditional values.
In and in, when we give it to you straight, no chaser. In sports, Gervonta Davis and Jake Paul have a fight coming up. I ain't even gonna call it a fight, because it ain't. If Jake Paul's involved in it, it's a great acting job. You know Mike Tyson could have just knocked Jake Paul's face into the canvas, but he got paid to pull punches, otherwise he wouldn't have got paid. I'm pretty sure the same is going for Gervonta Davis. It's a quick money grab. Now, most of y'all gonna be suckers who tune in. It's this quick money grab. That's all I'm saying. Ain't gonna be no fight. I don't give a fuck how big Jake Paul is. He can't take one of them little mother tank punches. And tank move furniture. Move furniture. Catch that motherfucking move furniture. And Jake don't like his furniture moves, so he gonna pay him not to hit him again. If you really want to show out Gervonta, sign a contract that you ain't gonna hit him, because if you hit him, you lose all the money. And then whoop that motherfucker's ass, put him to sleep, and get him out the boxing game once and for all.
Some critics go as far as to declare that boxing is dead, arguing the sport has strayed too far from its roots of fair competition and pure skill. They point to celebrity-driven matchups, lopsided pairings, and spectacle-first events as proof that the spotlight has shifted. Instead of showcasing world-class fighters and the craft of boxing, they say the emphasis is tilted toward entertainment value and quick paydays, leaving the sport's legacy in jeopardy.
Oh! Jake Paul is fighting Gervonta Tank Davis.
Chilaquiles.
Musty energy. Musty energy. Musty energy. Musty energy.
Oh, it's musty, and I say that respectfully. Per Mike Hoppinger in the Ring magazine, Gervonta Tank Davis, freshly off his domestic violence charges being dropped, will get into the ring with Jake Paul in Atlanta with a proposed date of November 15th. Lord child.
Get your hand out of my pocket!
Tank weighs about 135. Jake Paul weighs about 200-something pounds. So obviously this will be at a catch weight, and this possibly will not be a sanctioned fight where it will count on anybody's records. But I'm gonna tell y'all like this. Tank fans, you niggas down bad.
The hatred.
Musty energy.
You niggas is down bad.
What do you all think about this matchup? Is it finally time for Jake Paul to face someone closer to his own size and skill level to prove he's the real deal? Or is this just how the boxing business works today? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.